Hi there, merhaba, ciao, buon pomeriggio, or good afternoon, as we would say from here, from Italy. I hope you are having a good fair, that all you guys are enjoying this presentation, this fair. It's a very important moment for all of you, because you are all collecting information about where to study, what to study, your future, your professional goals. So this afternoon, the idea of the time that you will spend with me is for giving you some information, overall information about what are the talks that you have to put ahead when you consider studying in Italy. I don't know if you people can eventually write your questions on the chat box. Eventually, feel free to interrupt me anywhere in the presentation. It's going to be a very short presentation. We do have about 15 minutes, but probably we are going to close in about 30 minutes because it's not rocket sciences at the end of the day. Let me just share you my screen. All right, so we are in here, and my seminar, my presentation is just about what are the challenges and the pitfalls for international students in Italy. Let me talk a little bit about me. I'm originally from Venezuela. I moved to Italy in 2004, so it's already 17 years. I came to Italy for study purposes. No one at the time explained me some, stuff about the difficulties or the challenges that you can find once you arrive in Italy for being an international student. If you want to start a bachelor program, a master program, I don't consider eventually the summer courses like, the experience for the international student, because most of the time those are experiences that are very short, and it's mostly like leisure, something for having fun and eventually visiting the country. Most of my speech is going to be based about the challenges and pitfalls for international students considering doing a bachelor program or a master course here in Italy. So let's see. The question is challenges and pitfalls, or how to avoid the pizza accident. It's kind of easy to say, I would like to move and study in Italy. It's a beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful place. But you have to take this decision with a lot of information, a lot of consciousness, because it's not everything like, pizza and bella vita. There is a situation in here, like in some European countries, where, the professional opportunities are not like raining. So you have to really commit yourself in doing something that is correct, something that is proper for your expectations. All right. What are the typical questions to yourself? Why the program? Why Italy? Or why a specific institution? It's never easy. I do believe that when you are about to finish the high school, you can be in two situations. Probably the first is the one in which you have like little idea of what to study, and you don't have particular input from your parents or your friends. Or you can be the type of a student that is completely concerned about that, and you start thinking what to study 1, 2, 3 years before. And that's good, but sometimes it's, like stressing too much yourself. So it's important that you don't make the problem bigger than actually is when you are a high school student. If you are a university student, then the considerations are completely different and are more deep, because in your case, it's like you already made some years of university studies, and you want to do a further course, master program and a specialization for having like the possibility of reaching a professional success. So these are like different situations in which you can find yourself. And that will lead you to say, okay, why that program? And then you have to put yourself in deep evaluation and be very sure why a specific program is the one that you would like to do. Then why Italy? The economy is very strong. The social welfare is very, very high. The quality, the overall quality of education, not only, of course, in Quasar Institute for Advanced Design, but generally speaking, like the quality of education is very high in most of the Italian institution. Is high, but it's not anyway an easy experience. And so why eventually a specific institution when you decide to study in Italy? So you have to find data, to find numbers and find information about the institution in Italy that you eventually are targeting, because there are hundreds of possibilities. There are hundreds of courses and hundreds and thousands of possible outcomes for your professional life. Let's say, from my point of view, there are some areas that in Italy, I mean, this is very personal. This is the result of my, let's say, vision of 17 years of being an international student, a professional, someone who moved to Italy for making the studies, and then I stayed in here. So more or less I have like an idea of the study areas that might be good, or other areas that might be eventually, not that convenient to consider. And I will go one by one on some considerations about it. What I would suggest, something related to creativity like design or visual arts. Italy is a very strong place, a very strong country for everything that is related to creativity. We think about Ferrari, we think about fashion, about architecture. They are obsessed with aesthetics. So the overall knowledge and the overall sense of aesthetics is very high here in Italy. We think about kids finishing eventually high schools, artistic high school, or like a scientific high school. They have a good sense of taste, without any doubt. This makes that generally studying creative studies, creative careers in Italy is an advantage, because the whole landscape is gonna help you to become a strong professional into this area. Then there are the more traditional engineering or economics and medicine that are very good, more or less spread all over the country, okay? A typical mistake that international students do when taking consideration Italy for the bachelor or the master program is that of saying, I will go to Milano, or I will go to Roma or Torino, because our big cities are, economic epicenters in the country. So most of the people would like to, be in these big places, in these big cities. But in Italy, you have really to take in consideration that the economy is all spread over the country. So there are thousands and thousands of small, medium-sized companies spread, but that can provide you like good professional opportunities. All right. Studying engineering, economics, and medicine, it's something good, because generally speaking, there are, good chances that you find a job when you graduate. What I would think twice are courses like architecture or fashion. Architecture, it is simple. Basically, in the last, I would say 5-7 years, the enrollments in architectures are dropping, like plummeting, because people graduating from architecture, they were not finding professional opportunities in architectural projects, let's say. They were mostly, they do something maybe related to creativity, renovation, illustration, interior design, this kind of stuff, but not like, you know, brand new architectural projects. So these guys were investing 5 or 6 years for getting the degree in architecture, but at the end they were doing, you know, some different stuff in the professional arena. For the fashion area, there is a lot of competition. The salaries are not that high in the beginning, so it's quite difficult to reach like an economical stability if you do a fashion design program, let's say about a fashion design bachelor, because there is a lot of people who did not study fashion, but they work in fashion industry. Okay, so there is much more competition. Then another area that I would emphasize is the law, because there is plenty. Like really, there was like 300,000 people, professionals graduated in law and doing any other job. And it's the most difficult because it has a process. Of course, that this is country-based. So if you study law in Italy, you won't be able to work probably back in your country unless you do a specialization in international compare law, right? But thinking about, okay, my plan eventually is to study law, become a lawyer, even for Italians, it's very difficult. And this is the kind of professions that you do inherited eventually from your parents, all right? Then another area that I would not recommend that much are some social and applied sciences. If you do study mathematics or applied physics, history, these kind of professions could be good if you eventually expect to have a career like an academician, all right? Like working into a university or working as a professor in a school or an academy, an institution. But if you expect to work, you know, in the private sector, with these degrees, with these bachelors, it's gonna be like a huge challenge. So what are challenges that typically you have to face if you do consider studying in Italy? Sorry. Okay, the choice of your institution. I would say that it's good to make a definition of where you would like to study like 8 to 12 months before, like have the clear idea of the institution where you would like to study, not less than 8 months before the starting of that program that you would like to begin. It's very easy to get in contact with universities. Some universities are very strong in managing the international student. Others is like they give you zero information about the whole paperwork and the whole procedure for application or for fulfilling the government requirements. So it is important that after you have defined the program, then you find an institution that gives you support, that gives you backup in the whole process. All right, so it's part of the challenge because you have then to survive the paperwork, and there is a mountain of paperwork if you want to come in Italy and enroll eventually in an official degree recognized by the Italian Ministry of Education. This part in here, it's delicate because if you do some mistakes in your paperwork, then eventually you can have troubles in validating your courses, in starting the course. So be flexible and put yourself into the mindset that you will have to produce a lot of documents and you will need to eventually submit and make complex procedures, but the institutions, I mean the universities and the academies, and also like the consulates and some education agents, they should support you in this process. Another challenge is safe landing in the place that you have selected. Once you say, okay, I would like to move in Roma, or I enroll in Genova or Milano, then you will have a process of arrival that if you have the possibility to prepare in advance by, of course, visiting, if you have the possibility in the city before, it's gonna be better. I always remember my experience was like without any kind of possibility of making a check on the city that I selected. Back in the time, my choices were Florence, Rome, and Parma. I had a friend, fortunately, from Italy, and she helped me a lot when I arrived in Italy and explained me all the stuff. Because it's very easy to miss some part of the paperwork that you have to fulfill upon arrival, okay? So get support from the institution and eventually from some people you know it's already in the country, it's already attending that university, or it's living in the city. And generally, nowadays, it's very easy to get in contact with people. I mean, there are Facebook groups, LinkedIn, the universities put you in contact with the students. We actually in Quasar Institute will implement very soon a platform in which you can talk directly with a student inside this classroom. Then after you make this landing and you commit you fulfill the paperwork and start your studies, then the following challenge is to stay in the track of your plan, right? There is a moment in which you can say, okay, maybe I am in the second semester, I'm not sure if this was the stuff that I wanted to study. I'm not, finding myself well in the town. Put in consideration a B plan. All right, that eventually it is like the same course in another city, or eventually another course in the same city. If the problem is the city, either or the course. It is possible. I mean, instead of dropping everything, if you are advanced in the career and eventually you want to change, consider eventually doing the transfer processes internal to the universities. We every year have students making the transfer into Quasar Institute coming from other institutions. So there is like another pre-enrollment. But while you are in your current university, try to make the best possible to achieve the more educational credits. All right. Then to achieve the diploma, that is a huge challenge. It requires a lot of planification of your studies and life. Okay, you have to maintain like a program in which you say, okay, I will be eventually graduating within a certain date. All right. I would say that 90% of the time for the international students, you eventually have to extend that period for one semester, maybe a whole year, because you need to put in consideration some difficulties in the beginning. So eventually try to make a scenario, to make some hypothesis of the 3 years, if we talk about a bachelor course, that can become 4 years, or eventually the 1 year master program that can become eventually 2 years. All right, because we're living now in the middle of a pandemic, so a lot of students needed to delay. We never know what's going to happen, if there are going to be general issues, personal issues that will delay your graduation date. Okay, so you have to be also very resilient into this area. And the final challenge is the professional integration. And this is a key aspect because most of the international students saying, I would like to graduate in Italy, most of the time it's not like, okay, I would like to just grab a diploma and fly back to my country. That, if you do something like that, I mean, that's a very big mistake because you are not exploiting, actually, the full experience of having studied in Italy. And some students do that mistake. So you have to grab the challenge of the professional integration, put like a goal, working in Italy, because that's gonna be the closure of this circle. That's gonna be your experience, your academic experience and professional experience in Italy. Otherwise, you won't understand until the very end what's about being a student in Italy and being a professional in Italy. But having said this, the pitfalls, so the problems. So I say here some challenges. Then we take a look on the pitfalls. The first pitfall is like other people is deciding for you. When you start this process, probably for the undergraduate students is more common. It's not like you decide on your own, but like there is your mom, there is your dad, there is your uncle, there is your brother, there are your friends eventually saying study this, study that, come in here, and it's fair to collect information from the people that you know, but the final decision must be up to you. You have to feel very confident. So I met hundreds, especially students from Turkey. I traveled many times to Turkey, visited many high schools, well, not only in Turkey, like also in Egypt, in Morocco, many places. And it is quite easy to spot the kid that is telling you, I would like to study design because his friend is already living in Roma or Milano, and it's like, it's not doesn't convince me. So don't take decisions based just on following the group, following your friends, or being pushed by family pressure. Try to involve your family, of course, like in a constructive discussion about your future, with personal motivation. And this mistakes in paperwork can compromise your plans. This is another very important pitfall. Make sure that you can enroll in an official bachelor or master program in Italy, because there are many exceptions. For example, students with less than 12 years of studies in the school, from primary to high school, if you don't have 12 years, you cannot enroll into an Italian bachelor degree. Sometimes you can also have the 12 years, but the program is not recognized. Like the UK program or the US, you need to make the advanced levels, the advanced placement to be admitted in Italy in the official bachelor courses. So collect information about the requirements for studying a bachelor course or a master course in Italy with proper advance. So you know that you will be asked to submit eventually 1 year of foundation program, or eventually to have a minimum score in your national entrance test to the university. I think about the Turkish students, you do have this, the YGS, right? And make sure, rely eventually on education agents. They have a strong experience, because sometimes it's like, I'm gonna do everything on my own, or my family, you know, we can deal with this. No, guys, it's a lot of paperwork. I was lucky because I made that stuff without support of education agents, but I fortunately have some Italian friends to support me. Getting in troubles upon arrival, staying in a cultural bubble. This is also very traditional for international students. In Italy, Spanish students do this a lot. It's like when they arrive in Italy, they stay only interacting among themselves. So they never learn the language, they never really embrace or understand the local culture. And that is important because if you have expectations of going ahead as a professional here in Italy, you need to understand very well the mindset of the Italians. If you remain graduated like you still foreigner, let's say, I don't mean that you have to lose your identity. Don't get me wrong on this, but it's like you have to really learn about the local culture. All right, so you have chances at the end of finding the professional opportunities. When I graduated, I made my studies in Italian language, and I developed a very strong knowledge of Italian language, and that for the companies when I was making the job interviews was like, wow, you speak so well Italian. You're an international student, yeah. And I have to remember, like, yeah, but I also graduated in economics and international cooperation. Come on, guys. But it was, I realized that it was so important, you know, and I see plenty of students coming to Italy making bachelor or master programs in English. And then it's like they don't get the importance of becoming fluent in Italian. The country, the Italian economy is very strong. There are a lot of exchanges with any country in the world, but still, guys, the overall knowledge of English language is medium low. So this is a country where if you have the possibility to go and work in, let's say, Barilla, big company, food industry, but it's located in Parma. It's a 150,000 people town. If you don't speak Italian, they will never get you. If you speak Italian, I guarantee you that your chances are going to be equal to the Italian applicants. Okay, so this is something to avoid. Another pitfall is not questioning your plans. I do recommend the students to have the first year of the bachelor course also like I am making a trial. You can do summer courses before. You can do workshops, or, you know, attend lessons about medicine, about design, about architecture, about engineering, but only in the moment in which you will enter the class and you will spend 1-2 semesters, you know, studying, is really when you will say, yes, this was the right decision. But it can be also like, oh, this was a mistake. Don't be shy, let's say, in saying, no, well, I already decided I have to go ahead, because then you will waste, let's say, 3 years completely, because at the end you won't be satisfied. It's like after another 2 years, you won't be magically in love with the area that you decided for. So if you have to reconsider your area of studies, just do it, all right? Because it's something that you won't be eventually discharging at all. The only thing that you can do if you do not question your plans and you are like not sure 100% is to waste money and time, all right? Another pitfall, this is kind of important, is the miscalculation of the money. Living in Italy, guys, is expensive. let's say. I mean, it's a place where you have to consider a living budget per year about probably 10,000 euro. If you are like me, I come from a country where I was like depending on the exchange rate of the dollar, euro, Turkish lira, bolivar. Pay attention to this, because if you at a certain point find yourself in difficulty for economical reasons, then it's, you know, a pain. There are many financial aid possibilities in Italy. Any university, not any university, in any city where there is a university or a recognized academy, the local government provides to undergraduate students the possibility of obtain financial aid. So someone who enrolls in Quasar Institute, besides the scholarship eventually for having a reduction in the fees of the school, you can apply. So don't forget to gather the information about all the financial aid possibilities, all right? In order to avoid a scenario where you finish your money, your parents cannot more support you, and then you have to make your luggage and fly back to your country. There is the possibility of working when you are an international student in Italy. You can do a part-time job. I did that for a few years. It was kind of okay. I needed, I mean, because I had a scholarship by the Italian government. Well, actually, I had two scholarships, two different scholarships at a certain point. But still, I had the possibility of working. So to avoid this resources, lack of resources stuff, if you also are like, you know, a tough guy, a tough girl, you can also do some part-time job while you are working. And a final pitfall is the underexploitation of the opportunities while you're a student, okay? You have to take the most of the network that your university or your institution is offering you. The professors, I mean, in the case of Quasar Institute for Advanced Design, who is teaching our students is someone who is working in the industry. So we have contacts with companies, institutions, public and private. So be proactive with your professor when you are in the university, because in that moment when you are in the classroom, it's like the professor is available, you know, to give you support. Don't be like, you know, not like careless about the relationship with the professors. And in Italy, it's very important, the relational aspect. Okay, you have to do a lot of public relations in order to achieve, you know, some professional opportunities and have positive contacts with your environment, your circle. What happens when you graduate in Italy in a bachelor or in a master program? Let's say that I'm not finding the professional opportunity. Still, this is important for students outside from the European Union. Don't fly back without verifying if you can make the extension of the residence permit. What does this mean? That if a student graduates and in that moment, an international student with a residence permit is without a job, he or she can make an extension for 1 year of the residence permit. This is something called like extension, looking for job residence permit, something like that. Fortunately, I mean, I never needed it because I had the job before graduating. But pay attention on this, and be flexible and be ready for moving to a small town, because there are high chances that if you open your research area, your research criteria into medium-sized towns in Italy, you will find professional opportunities, okay? So it's don't waste that, because it's like the bridge for remaining in here. Well, that's it. Per me, grazie. This is an image by Bruno Munari, who was an important designer here in Italy. And if you can find this book, guys, speak Italian, and you will understand a lot about the Italian culture, how much they do speak with the gesture, with the fingers. Let me just get back